February 13th, 2026, Buckingham Palace. No more silence, no more manipulation. In a move unprecedented in modern royal history, the palace broke its composure and went on the offensive. On the morning of February 13th, a historic emergency statement was issued from Buckingham Palace, addressing what senior courtiers are now calling Meghan Markle's global meltdown campaign. A spiraling public crusade of accusations, veiled threats, and media crossfire aimed directly at the crown. According to royal sources, this is the palace's strongest response since the Sussexes' 2020 exit. The statement not only denounces Meghan's claims as baseless, inflammatory, and damaging to the Commonwealth's integrity, but also reveals the sweeping consequences of a scandal now reverberating through diplomatic, economic, and cultural circles across Dubai, France, Canada, and beyond. At the center of the uproar lies one claim: Meghan's insistence that the royal family has orchestrated a covert campaign to dismantle her career, a calculated erasure executed over just 10 days. But as the palace counters that narrative, hard evidence is emerging that the Duchess's professional empire is, indeed, collapsing in real time. Between February 2nd and 12th, 4 major nations either banned or quietly blacklisted Meghan Markle's commercial and artistic operations, citing violations of trade ethics, tax regulations, and misuse of royal insignia. These are not criminal charges, but they are devastating. On February 3rd, the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Culture and Economy revoked licenses linked to Meghan's wellness and fashion label as ever, citing misrepresentation of national affiliations, breaches of GCC guidelines on political neutrality, and unregistered offshore income routed through influencer marketing networks. 3 days later, on February 6th, the Canada Revenue Agency, CRA, and the British Columbia Film Board suspended cooperation with Archewell Media Canada, citing incomplete filings, undeclared foreign payments, and inconsistent intellectual property documentation. As a result, partnerships with CBC, Netflix Canada, and Rogers Media were abruptly cancelled. France followed on February 8th with its Haute Autorité de la Communication confirming that non-renewal notices had been issued to Vogue France, which had planned an April 2026 cover story. Luxury giants LVMH, Chanel, and Hermès quietly withdrew from pending collaborations, while retail chains in Singapore and Japan, including Isetan Tokyo and Tang Singapore, removed all as-ever products from shelves. Industry watchdogs, including Art Compliance Asia and the Independent Ethical Fashion Bureau, IEFB, have since flagged Meghan's affiliated ventures for potential deceptive marketing, citing blurred boundaries between personal celebrity branding and the monetization of royal aesthetics. Then came the breaking point. On February 10th, Meghan's chief communications advisor, Rena Walsh, released a 2-minute video statement titled, "The Targeting of a Woman Who Tried to Make Change." "This is not about paperwork or permits," Meghan said in the clip, posted across Instagram, Threads, and Spotify. "This is about power. A coordinated effort is underway, from London to Dubai to Ottawa, to erase me professionally, culturally, and personally. And we know exactly who's behind it." She never mentioned Prince William by name, but the implication was unmistakable. Referring to those whose futures depend on silence, she accused an unnamed firm of embracing her image while now weaponizing her existence. Her message ended with a digital attachment, a fact sheet listing canceled magazine deals, revoked sponsorships, and unreturned calls. But the final paragraph lit the fuse. It claimed that private threats and conversations had circulated from high offices within the United Kingdom itself. The royal gloves, it seems, are finally off. Here's your rewritten second piece, expanded slightly for narrative rhythm, atmosphere, and dramatic flow. It keeps the investigative tone, eliminates repetition, and adds tension and clarity while preserving all original plot details. Part 2. The Counterstrike. "And while I've respected boundaries," Meghan declared, "I will no longer allow anyone to rewrite my story, even if it means showing what they've tried to bury, including what happened in Summer 2016. Those final words detonated like a grenade inside Buckingham Palace. For insiders close to royal intelligence, the reference to RIC 2016 was unmistakable. a veiled threat suggesting that Meghan's camp possessed unpublished photographs of Prince William, allegedly taken aboard a private Mediterranean yacht, implying misconduct. It was a move that insiders later described as the moment the gloves came off. Within hours, the palace responded not with silence, but with precision. By February 11th, Prince James of Edinburgh, now dubbed the palace's fire marshal for his role as crisis manager since Prince Harry's departure, convened a confidential briefing with senior political editors and royal correspondents. He presented notarized documentation verifying that Prince William was not in Europe during the period in question. The evidence was irrefutable. William's official United Nations itinerary placed him in Kenya from July 10th to 22nd, 2016, attending an environmental summit in Nairobi. Diplomatic records, hotel surveillance logs, and local media coverage confirmed his daily presence at the event. To erase any lingering doubt, MI5's Royal Security Directorate issued an independent verification statement, confirming that William's movements had never deviated from the published schedule. The threat collapsed instantly, but it set the stage for something far larger. On February 13, 2026, Buckingham Palace issued its sharpest and most coordinated public rebuttal in modern memory. Released across all official royal channels, the statement read, "The Crown categorically denies all allegations of interference in international commercial or cultural decisions regarding Ms. Meghan Markle. Furthermore, we reject the false and defamatory insinuations of any past misconduct by His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. Fabricated threats, reputational extortion, and the strategic manipulation of personal grievances cannot and will not be tolerated. The royal household remains committed to transparency, neutrality, and the protection of constitutional integrity. No member of the royal family has influenced any licensing, regulatory, or cultural decisions made by sovereign nations." Attached to the declaration were affidavits, travel logs, and verification documents, a direct challenge to Meghan's narrative and a clear warning to her legal team. Behind the commanding tone lay a swift and coordinated counteroffensive led by Sir Malcolm Wessex, the royal family's formidable chief legal counsel, and Prince James, whose growing influence has positioned him as the House of Windsor's institutional guardian. Within hours of Meghan's February 10th video release, Sir Malcolm convened a private emergency summit at Clarence House. Present were representatives from the Crown Prosecution Service, GCHQ cybersecurity experts, and 2 Foreign Office envoys tasked with evaluating international fallout. Their mission was simple but critical: dismantle the legal plausibility of Meghan's accusations and preempt any form of reputational blackmail before it gained traction. By February 11th, a pre-litigation notice had been served to Meghan's US-based legal team, demanding a full retraction of her statements linking royal figures to economic sabotage, as well as disclosure of any photographic materials or metadata referenced in the RIC 2016 remarks. The notice gave her until February 14th to comply, or face defamation proceedings in both the UK and Canadian courts. The inclusion of Canada was no coincidence. Palace legal analysts believe that several financial discrepancies surrounding Meghan's Archewell Foundation Canada, now under active CRA audit, could intertwine her commercial losses with her claims of royal interference. If pressed, the case could legally compel her to testify under oath about both her allegations and her finances. While Sir Malcolm handled the legal artillery, Prince James took command of public verification. Known for his calm under fire and technocratic efficiency, his role was clear: turn transparency into the monarchy's most potent weapon. And as the palace prepared for its next move, the balance of power began to shift. "I've respected boundaries," Meghan said, her voice tightening on camera. "But I will no longer let anyone rewrite my story, even if it means revealing what they've buried, including what happened in RIC, summer 2016. For insiders at Buckingham Palace, those words marked the breaking point. The phrase RIC 2016 wasn't random. It hinted at alleged unseen photographs of Prince William on a Mediterranean yacht. Images Meghan's team insinuated showed misconduct. Within hours, alarm bells rang through royal security channels. But the palace did not flinch. It countered with precision. By February 11th, Prince James of Edinburgh, now the monarchy's crisis commander, dubbed the Palace Fire Marshal, held a closed briefing for top political editors. He presented a notarized itinerary confirming that Prince William had been in Kenya from July 10 to 22, 2016, attending a United Nations Environmental Summit. Diplomatic records, hotel logs, and MI5 verification erased any doubt. The alleged threat collapsed overnight, but the fallout had only just begun. 2 days later, on February 13, 2026, Buckingham Palace issued its most aggressive statement in decades. The declaration, shared across every royal platform, read, "The Crown categorically denies all allegations of interference in international, commercial, or cultural matters concerning Ms. Meghan Markle. We reject the defamatory insinuations of misconduct by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Fabricated threats, reputational extortion, and strategic manipulation of personal grievances will not be tolerated." It was a thunderclap, and attached were affidavits, travel logs, and intelligence confirmations. Gone was the era of quiet dignity. This was a new monarchy, open, defiant, and armed with receipts. Behind the decisive tone stood Sir Malcolm Wessex, the palace's chief legal counsel, and Prince James, both architects of a sweeping counteroffensive. Hours after Meghan's video surfaced, Sir Malcolm convened an emergency summit inside Clarence House. Present were representatives from the Crown Prosecution Service, GCHQ cybersecurity officers, and Foreign Office envoys tasked with managing the international implications. Their mission was twofold: dismantle Meghan's legal credibility and shield the Crown from reputational blackmail. By February 11th, a pre-litigation notice was hand-delivered to Meghan's U.S. attorneys. It demanded a full retraction, the release of any alleged RICE 2016 materials and metadata, and written clarification by February 14th, or face defamation proceedings in both UK and Canadian courts. The Canadian inclusion was strategic. Meghan's Archewell Foundation Canada, now under audit by the CRA, linked her collapsing business to the same narrative of royal sabotage. If the matter advanced, she'd face discovery under oath. While Wessex built the legal case, Prince James led the media strike. Known for his technocratic calm, he released William's 2016 travel logs, briefed reporters at Lancaster House, and authorized publication of internal audits confirming zero Crown involvement in foreign regulatory actions. When silence is weaponized, James told aides, the antidote is evidence. British media crowned him the palace firewall, the calm strategist filling the void left by Harry's departure. By then, Meghan's global brand was collapsing in real time. Luxury houses, broadcasters, and government agencies had begun severing ties. Vogue France canceled her April cover. LVMH, Chanel, and Hermès terminated partnerships. Netflix Canada dropped a wellness docuseries. CBC Gem and Rogers Media froze her previous content. Singapore and Tokyo retailers pulled as-ever products from stores. The ban spread like wildfire. On February 3rd, Dubai's Ministry of Culture and Economy invoked Article 9 of the Foreign Branding Act, banning her commercial activity over political neutrality violations. France and Canada followed, citing tax discrepancies and unregistered offshore payments. Industry insiders described it as coordinated distancing. Not collusion, just fear. "She's a triple risk now," said one European talent agent. "Legal, reputational, and constitutional. Nobody wants to be caught in the crossfire between Meghan and the monarchy." 3 triggers fueled her downfall. The unsealed Epstein files on January 27th, which resurfaced troubling associations from her early social circles. The Archewell Canada audit on February 2nd, exposing discrepancies in grant allocations, and her own February 10th video, which publicly accused the palace of sabotage. By mid-February, it wasn't just her reputation that was damaged. It was her access, her influence, and her future. What began as a defiant outcry had become a global reckoning. The palace had drawn its line, and for the first time in 6 years, it wasn't flinching. Here's your rewritten 4th piece. Expanded slightly, for depth and narrative tension, unified in tone, and refined for pacing, clarity, and high-stakes realism, maintaining the investigative documentary style of your ongoing Royal Crisis series. Part 4. The Archive and the Countermove. By mid-February, what had started as a crisis of reputation had turned into a full-scale corporate exodus. To many global executives, Meghan Markle's rhetoric now resembled reckless brinkmanship, or worse, blackmail posturing. Risk managers across industries quietly reached the same conclusion. Continued association with her brand was indefensible to shareholders, regulators, or the public. Even sympathetic media outlets began to distance themselves. People magazine abruptly canceled a Valentine's Day feature once meant to spotlight her journey of resilience. The New York Times style section, which had celebrated her as ever candle line just 2 months earlier, ran a thinly veiled critique of celebrity wellness ventures, calling them aromatically confusing and ethically blurred. Vanity Fair, once her media stronghold, scrapped a planned cover and replaced it with a last-minute Fashion Week spread. It wasn't just decline, it was erasure. What the world was witnessing was a systemic uncoupling. Meghan Markle had become, in boardroom terms, a liability vector. Not for any single offense, but because her very presence now invited scrutiny, audits, and geopolitical discomfort. On February 11th, a text allegedly sent from one of Meghan's private numbers circulated among senior PR consultants. "If I go down, I'm taking someone with me." The message, whether authentic or not, became emblematic of her new tone: defiant, cornered, and escalating. Inside Buckingham Palace, the interpretation was immediate. Her strategy had shifted from defense to detonation. What began as self-preservation had evolved into a scorched earth campaign, one laced with veiled threats, hints of secret archives, and allusions to buried scandals. Her February 10th reference to Rick Summer 2016 had already sent chills through royal observers, interpreted as a warning shot aimed directly at Prince William. Insiders claimed Meghan's team had long maintained a confidential cache of files, internally dubbed the Archive, or the Contingency Folder. Former staffers who once worked for Meghan's pre-royal media firm described its contents as part insurance policy, part myth. According to one, the archive allegedly contained dozens of high-resolution photographs from private European events between 2013 to 2016. Voice recordings from early Archewell meetings and royal prep sessions, emails describing media insurance strategies for hypothetical crisis scenarios. "She always believed the palace would turn on her," one former aide admitted under anonymity. "She built that archive for the day she needed leverage." But Buckingham Palace was already 3 steps ahead. Just 36 hours after Meghan's threat-laced statement, Prince James of Edinburgh authorized the public release of William's verified 2016 diplomatic itinerary, including certified flight logs, UN co-signatures, and Kenyan ministry statements, confirming William's presence in Nairobi during the period in question. "You can't be at a yacht party in Spain while shaking hands with UN delegates in Kenya," noted royal security analyst David Merriman. The swift release dismantled the insinuation before it could spread. Yet the counteroffensive went deeper than rebuttals. Since early 2024, the palace had quietly assembled a shadow task force known as the Digital Contingency Group, DCG, a covert hybrid unit of MI5, GCHQ, and royal archivists specializing in data forensics and blackmail prevention. Its mandate: monitor and neutralize emerging reputational threats before they reach the public sphere. According to a partially verified briefing obtained by Royal Confidential, the DCG had already classified Meghan's alleged information assets into 4 categories: inadmissible personal data obtained without consent, digitally altered or unverifiable media, privately recorded conversations in violation of UK GDPR and US wiretap law, unsubstantiated hearsay lacking provenance. In short, even if Meghan's rumored archive existed, its legal viability was near zero. Several nations, including the UAE, France, and Canada, now reportedly viewed the potential release of any such material as a national privacy and security breach, particularly if it implicated public figures or international agencies. As Sir Malcolm Wessex, the palace's chief legal strategist, bluntly summarized in a confidential memo, "The threat of exposure only carries weight if the evidence can survive scrutiny. Hers cannot." And for the first time, the monarchy's response was not silence. It was strategy. According to the Chief Royal Council, possessing questionable material is one thing, but distributing it for coercive purposes crosses into criminal territory. Despite those risks, insiders claim Meghan Markle is seriously considering a controlled media leak, using an anonymous Substack drop authored by a former associate. The working title of the exposé: Unseen and Unbowed, a ghost-written memoir rumored to explore her pre-royal trials and buried truths. Even more concerning to Buckingham Palace are reports of a potential international talk show appearance planned for late March 2026, possibly with Al Jazeera or RAI1, both broadcasters outside Ofcom's UK jurisdiction. Palace sources believe her goal is not to destroy the monarchy outright, but to publicly humiliate it, framing herself as a silenced whistleblower rather than a vengeful exile. A message allegedly sent by Meghan's press advisor to a former Vanity Fair editor captured the tone perfectly. She's not trying to burn the crown, she's just going to make sure it smells like smoke. That line, now circulating among journalists, has become shorthand for her strategy: perception warfare. Inside the palace, the response has already begun. Royal sources confirm 3 parallel countermeasures. Global digital surveillance across platforms linked to Meghan's known associates, designed to trace any leaks or Substack activity. Preemptive legal injunctions filed in the UK, Canada, and EU courts to block unauthorized publication of royal-adjacent materials. A coordinated media counter-campaign spearheaded by Prince James of Edinburgh, emphasizing transparency, restraint, and institutional dignity. Most significantly, Palace lawyers have warned that if Meghan disseminates any blackmail-adjacent content, even indirectly, she could trigger international criminal cooperation under cross-border coercion and digital sabotage statutes. As one palace insider summarized, "The Windsor firewall is up. If she lights the match, she'll be the one holding the smoke." By February 13, 2026, the tension had reached its breaking point. Royal Confidential described the scene bluntly. The moment she reached for the match, the whole room took a step back. What followed was a swift, spectacular collapse of support. Meghan's network, once fortified by sympathy and star power, began disintegrating in real time. Hollywood, fashion, philanthropy, and even old friends were pulling away. The golden circle that had once embraced her was gone. Between 2020 and 2024, Meghan had enjoyed elite protection. Netflix, Spotify, Oprah Winfrey's empire, and a constellation of progressive producers positioned her as a cultural phoenix, a survivor rewriting her narrative. But now that same network is fracturing publicly, and perhaps permanently. On February 8th, Netflix Global confirmed that Pearl, the animated series originally canceled in 2022 but later restructured under Archewell Canada, was permanently shelved. One executive put it bluntly: "Once cross-border influence allegations surfaced, our legal department pulled the plug. We're not risking subpoenas over candle sales and veiled threats." Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Studios followed suit, quietly removing all Meghan-related projects from its 2026 production slate. A senior producer told Variety, "This isn't empowerment anymore. It's obsession, a reputational meltdown." Even Hollywood's unions began to turn. The Writers Guild of America, WGA, and SAGAFTRA issued a joint ethics advisory warning members of potential exposure if they participated in Meghan's upcoming memoir or docuseries should royal litigation proceed. Then came the most symbolic blow of all. On February 9th, William Morris Endeavor, WME, Meghan's longtime literary and talent agency, dropped her as a client. No public statement was issued, but her representation portal listing was quietly deactivated. And the damage didn't stop at entertainment. Meghan's humanitarian affiliations began unraveling too. Organizations like World Central Kitchen, UN Women, and the Global Girl Project have all initiated internal reviews of her partnerships, citing concerns over alignment with ethical and reputational standards. As one senior charity director admitted off record, "She's not being canceled. She's being isolated. There's a difference. Cancellation is loud. Isolation is permanent." What had started as a royal feud was now something far more serious. A total withdrawal of credibility. And behind the palace gates, the crown was already preparing for what might come next. The counterstrike that would decide whether Meghan Markle's empire ended in smoke or in silence. Here's your rewritten 6th piece. Tightened for pace, expanded slightly for narrative depth, and structured to build momentum toward the emotional and political climax. It keeps your investigative tone, but adds subtle dramatic rhythm, showing Meghan's isolation closing in from every side. Professional, personal, and symbolic. Part 6. The walls close in. By February 10, 2026, the fallout from Meghan Markle's campaign had entered a new phase, one that went beyond public relations or business strategy. It was now institutional. That morning, World Central Kitchen, WCK, a longtime partner of Archewell Foundation, issued a diplomatic but final statement. It thanked Archewell for its past generosity, but clarified that no current projects or future collaborations are planned. The phrasing was neutral, but the subtext was unmistakable. Meghan Markle's philanthropic ties were dissolving. Within 48 hours, SmartWorks UK, once hailed as her most authentic patronage, quietly updated its 2026 corporate strategy. Every reference to its 2019 to 2021 partnership with the Duchess of Sussex was removed. Sources described internal unease over brand neutrality as the royal disinformation crisis deepened. Even the United Nations, where Meghan's image had once featured prominently in gender equality campaigns, moved to create distance. As of February 12th, all traces of her likeness had been scrubbed from UN Women's digital archives and media kits. A spokesperson stated plainly, "Our campaigns must remain impartial and free of geopolitical entanglements." The message was clear. Global institutions were stepping away. Her inner circle, too, had fallen silent. Once, Meghan's closest allies included Serena Williams, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Chrissy Teigen, and Tyler Perry. But since her February 10th video statement, the one that accused unnamed royals of manipulation and hinted at buried secrets, not one of them had reposted, endorsed, or commented publicly. Analytics from InfluenceTrack confirmed the shift. Meghan's February 10th post recorded 42% lower engagement than her 2024 Archewell anniversary address. The infamous Balearic threat quote, referencing the alleged 2016 incident, was screenshotted and dissected by royal watchers, but ignored by verified accounts. When the algorithm smells scandal, brands vanish, one veteran publicist told Royal Confidential. And when the scandal involves royalty and blackmail, silence becomes policy. The corporate retreat continued. BetterUp, the mental health startup where Prince Harry serves as an executive, issued a clarifying note. Meghan Markle is not and has never been affiliated with BetterUp. Sephora confirmed that As Ever products were being permanently pulled from its stores in Singapore and Canada. Pinterest and Etsy banned paid promotions linked to Meghan's branding, citing consumer complaints of false royal endorsements. Meanwhile, Blue Ivy Ventures, the holding company behind a proposed As Ever skincare collaboration, invoked a material reputational volatility clause and formally withdrew from the deal. Across the board, executives described a similar calculation, not a vendetta, but self-preservation. It wasn't the Epstein rumors or the Canadian audit that broke her credibility, said one charity board member. It was when she accused the palace of orchestrating global sabotage and hinted she'd retaliate with secret files. Once you threaten the future King of England, nobody wants your emails. The rupture wasn't only external. Inside palace circles, sources confirm Prince Harry has refused to endorse or defend Meghan's recent actions. He has not reposted her February 10th statement, nor appeared at scheduled Archewell Canada meetings. Instead, insiders say he has requested private consultations with King Charles III and Prince Edward, seeking what's being described as a constitutional and custodial clarification. That silence speaks volumes. For years, the Sussexes projected unity, a modern counterpoint to the monarchy's formality. But now, as Meghan faces mounting professional exile, Harry's quiet withdrawal suggests something deeper, a potential final schism within the Sussex household itself. Once dubbed the People's Princess 2.0, Meghan Markle now finds herself confronting a stark reversal of fortune. No court ruling, no scandalous exposé, just the weight of one unwritten rule finally bearing down: you can challenge the crown's culture, but not its credibility. She crossed the invisible line of institutional integrity, and for the first time, the world stepped back. Here's your rewritten seventh and final piece, polished, expanded slightly for cinematic closure, around plus 150 words, and structured for emotional and historical weight, a fitting finale to the Sussex fallout arc. The pacing builds from calm authority to a thunderous finish, closing the saga with the gravity of history rather than spectacle. Part 7. The crown does not bend. The palace did not need to destroy Meghan Markle. The world around her is doing it, simply by choosing not to stand beside her. This is not silence, this is sovereignty. Statement from Prince James of Edinburgh, February 13, 2026. As dawn broke over London that morning, the British royal family made its stance unmistakable. No more tolerance, no more ambiguity, no more restraint. The official declaration from Buckingham Palace, co-signed by Sir Malcolm Wessex, Chief Legal Advisor, and Prince James of Edinburgh, marked the most assertive royal action since the Sussexes' 2020 departure. It wasn't merely a rebuttal to Meghan Markle's accusations. It was a constitutional verdict. The February 13th statement introduced what palace aides now call the Windsor Boundary Doctrine, a new framework that formalizes total institutional detachment from Meghan Markle. Effective immediately, it mandates complete withdrawal of royal patronage, communications, or collaborative reference. Mandatory legal review of all Sussex-adjacent media, merchandise, and public materials for misuse of royal imagery or sovereign symbolism. Automatic referral of any unverified accusation against the Crown to the Royal Household Legal Division for potential litigation across UK, EU, and Canadian jurisdictions. Behind the scenes, this declaration triggered Operation Echo Fence, a classified security protocol managed by the Royal Security and Intelligence Liaison Office. The operation's remit includes monitoring Meghan-related content produced by third parties, assessing possible foreign political exploitation of her narrative, and briefing Parliament should diplomatic repercussions arise. Within 24 hours, a web of legal filings was set in motion. The Royal Legal Liaison Office, working with the Canadian Office of Cultural Commerce, began reviewing Archewell's lobbying activity. The UK Serious Fraud Office opened an audit into As Ever's export structures, while Clifford Chance LLP was authorized to pursue defamation or false attribution claims should Meghan publish or leak any private materials. The tolerance buffer has expired, said a legal advisor close to the palace. The moment she accused the monarchy of international interference, she stopped being a family matter. She became a state matter. For the first time in decades, the crisis has unified senior royals. While King Charles III remains publicly distant, he has privately empowered Princess Anne to oversee integrity audits across royal charities and Commonwealth partners. Prince Edward now liaises directly with the Cabinet Office on media engagements involving former royal affiliates. And Prince William, the face of the Crown's next era, has been granted full autonomy to speak, retaliate, or restructure. His private words, relayed through aides, were firm. "We did not destroy Meghan Markle. We refuse to be destroyed by her." Across the world, that stance is echoing. Major nations, global brands, and once loyal allies have turned away, not through decree, but through quiet, deliberate distance. Meghan's prospects now narrow to a handful of difficult choices. Her memoir, Unseen and Unbowed, has been rejected by 3 major publishers. International PR firms refuse representation without sweeping liability waivers. Her legal team in Los Angeles is rumored to be considering a full rebranding under a new name to evade subpoenas tied to As Ever and Archewell Canada. Even more troubling, 2 former Archewell board members are cooperating with regulatory reviews in the EU and UAE. Their testimonies, sources suggest, could expose financial irregularities severe enough to force Meghan into a multi-country legal defense before spring. In just 11 days, Meghan Markle has fallen from a global figure commanding influence in fashion, philanthropy, and media, to a woman facing 4 international suspensions, 2 pending audits, 1 royal lawsuit, and 0 strategic allies. What remains is her voice. But even that voice, once amplified by empathy and modernity, now trembles under the weight of isolation and institutional precision. A former UK ambassador put it bluntly: "She miscalculated." Meghan believed the palace would always stay silent, but they didn't. And when the monarchy speaks, the world listens. The House of Windsor has made its position immovable. You may leave the monarchy, but you may not weaponize it. And so, as Meghan retreats into legal counsel and silence, the palace stands, unified, unbothered, and unrelenting. This chapter ends not with a trial, nor with spectacle, but with the cold, enduring authority of a crown that refused to bow.